more, let's go to Tony. He's in the community of Kihei. Tony, good morning to you. What can you tell us?
Oh, boy. Good morning, Gayle. Good morning to everyone. You really hit it on the head there. A week ago, none of this had happened, and now here we are. It's nighttime here still in Hawaii. So many people we spoke to, though, told us they are not sleeping because when they close their eyes, what they see is the horrors of this past week. And others use the night, believe it or not, to look for hot spots, still burning embers that could start all of this again. Let me give you a sense of where we are physically. We are south of the devastated town of Lahaina. It's a community of about 13,000 people, now most of it reduced to just hundreds of piles of twisted metal and ash. Look at these pictures. Kihei, where we are now, is home base for the relief efforts, which are ongoing, including the National Guard. You see the equipment behind me, and also FEMA. They're providing, among other things, and this is hard to talk about, cadaver dogs to help with what is a very delicate search for bodies, loved ones that have been described to us as, at this point, mostly ash, which is why of the 96 victims so far, only 2 have been positively identified, and families are being asked to drop off DNA samples. Also, the dogs, at this point, they've only covered about 3% of the total search area, so the death toll you're hearing now is very likely to rise. Among survivors, however, there is another search going on. It's a search for answers. And Jonathan Vigliotti is with me now with more on that question. How could this happen, Jonathan?
It's a good question and one that is difficult to get the answer to. It is day 6. People are still searching for loved ones, and they are demanding answers. We know they were not placed under that mandatory evacuation. County officials are now under investigation for their response. As that happens, families are being allowed to return back to what is left of their homes, describing scenes of chaos and utter confusion. And all the while, journalists are not being allowed through those same roadblocks to tell their stories.
Nearly 1 week after a firestorm torched Lahaina, a boat is one of the only ways to bypass roadblocks and document the growing crisis and investigation. Once on the ground, this is what we found. 80% of Maui's historic town in ruins. This gridlock of charred cars details the desperation as many attempted to escape a wall of racing flames.
I ran out of the car and ran for my life.
He was lucky. This survivor was with his friends.
3 of my friends in 1 car and 2 dogs died.
Those lost lives, along with so many others, are buried in fields of ash that FEMA teams with cadaver dogs are now searching through.
That is at least 5 square miles. And it is full of our loved ones.
We're walking down Front Street through the historic district, and we're noticing these orange X's on the facades of these buildings. That indicates that they've actually gone in and inspected.
Residents say they didn't even see the fire coming until it was on their heels.
We've spoken with so many survivors who say there were no evacuations issued. Even fire hydrants didn't have water. How did so much go so wrong?
The fire impacted the infrastructure of the community as well as the wind, which may have taken out several of those services you mentioned.
Fire Chief Bradford Ventura said his team never gave up fighting the fire, even under blowtorch conditions.
The firefighters saved hundreds of homes that day and thousands of lives that could have been affected.
The state attorney general is now investigating the county's emergency response.
We're the only things we have now.
For those still looking for the missing, hope fades and frustration mounts with each passing day of silence.
We get no information. This is a level of incompetence I've not witnessed before here.
And officials say that text alerts were sent out, but cell towers were knocked out, so many did not receive them. We have reached out to county officials about the response before, during, and now after this disaster. Tony, we have not heard back. We've placed many calls over several days. As all of this unfolds, many are still missing, and we do not know what sparked this fire, Tony.
And the questions are going to keep coming, and we should point out you got into the Lahaina before it was shut down on Saturday. That's where that footage came from. Jonathan, thank you very much. Your coverage has been tremendous. Thank you.